Did you see this candle that Bitcoin just printed? This is nothing to play with, especially when you pair it with this candle and this candle. We had 3 consecutive candles that are screaming that a tornado is coming for Bitcoin and it's going to get crazy. It's time for you to buckle up. We're about to dig into it and cover the facts. If you're new here, welcome in. My name is Steve. On this channel, we don't take any paid ads, no paid sponsorships, no paid affiliate links down below. What do we do instead? We cover the cold hard facts and the charts that actually help people. The only thing I ask in return is that you hit the subscribe button. That's it. Just hit that subscribe button, throw a thumbs up on this video, and let's jump into it. By the way, I'm going to be having my second child any day now. Thank you in advance for all the wonderful comments. What I wanted to discuss towards the end of the video is the biggest lesson that I got being a father, and 0 people warned me of this or told me about it or told me that it would be really cool before. Nobody discussed this thing that I want to share with you, and I'm very curious. For those of you who are parents or interested in being parents, have you noticed this? What I'm going to tell you later in the show. These candles right here, this one just printed, but when you compare this one with the prior ones, we are in for a tornado warning. We're scrolling in and we are looking at it. This is an enormous candle. It has incredible power, but what we need to uncover is the power that this has and what kind of a tornado should we be expecting here in the crypto markets. Well, what we have in front of us is we are in phase 2, right? As we've covered, Bitcoin has these distinct phases in each market. And in order for you to understand the tornado warning that's about to happen, we are not only going to uncover this candle, this candle, and this candle, and how these 3 candles has paired together to trick a lot of people. We're going to cover that. But in order to fully understand it, you have to understand where we're at in the cycle right now. Right now, this is phase 2. We are in phase 2 so far for approximately 84 days. That is a very important number. I want you to remember that number, and we're going to come back to it. It is highly important for this phase. But in order to really understand, let's take our journey back to 2012. What did we do in 2012? 2012, we had the bottom of the market. We moved into phase 1 of the market. Phase 1 of the market built market structure directly on top of our resistance during the bottom of the market. The bottom of the market resistance. As soon as we broke it, support. Support became right here. And then we had a new resistance up here, which we also were met with here. This became our new resistance. As soon as we broke it, it became our support. The market tests its support. Not only does it rally up to new market cycle structure, it falls all the way back to reconfirm its prior structure and current support. It's done that in every single phase. Keep in mind, phase 1, 200 days. Phase 2, 198 days. When we fast forward to the next cycle, do you notice a pattern? We had the bottom of the market here, incredibly strong resistance. Once we broke resistance, it became our support. That became the bottom of our structure here. Then we rallied up to these new prices up here, creating our new resistance. As soon as we broke that resistance, it became our next support, right? Each time the market rallied up to new resistance and also crashed down to retest its market structure. The market has to do this. If you look at any time frame for any asset class, it will always retest structure. Tilt your phone to the side and subscribe, right? So here we are. When we're looking at 2012, 200 days phase 1. 2016, 200 days phase 1. 2012, almost 200 days phase 2. 2016, almost 200 days phase 2. These phases are very distinct. They're in unison. They happen together. Now, 2019 was a very unorthodox market. We had an ABC correction, but essentially what Bitcoin did was it took phase 1 and phase 2 and combined them together. It tried to trick the market, but it was all the same, right? We rallied up the same and we crashed down in the same. And everyone's like, oh, this is because of COVID. It's not because of COVID. This was needed in the market for a multitude of reasons. Number 1, we didn't have a technical double bottom. This was our double bottom. Number 2, we rallied way the hell up here and we didn't test our base. We didn't test our prior resistance. We had to come down here to test our prior resistance. This was our prior resistance here during the bottom of this market, which happened to be the support at this part of the market. Same here. This was our resistance here. This same red line was our support during that part of the market. Same thing here. If you look here, same thing. Support during this part of the market, resistance during this part of the market. It's all the same. It's just combined phase 1 and 2 together. Now we get to our current day. Phase 1 for us was 200 days, right? We had market structure resistance here. We built support directly on top of that. And then we moved into our new resistance here and moved into phase 2. As soon as we broke that new resistance here, our resistance became our support. So we have a strong support zone currently around 32K, even down to 30K, right? Incredibly strong support structure there. So what we've done in the past is phase 2 lasted about 200 days, slightly less than 200 days, slightly less than 200 days. We are, what did we say? 84 days in, right? We are 84 days in to our phase 2 of the market. Now keep in mind, if Bitcoin were to continue on the same path and do 198 days, 180 days, you're looking at towards the end of April, right? Or the beginning of May. Into April and May is where we're likely to break out of this phase 2. And we'll get to what happens next in a minute with phase 2. But first, we've got to talk about these candles, right? We've waited long enough. We've got to talk about them. We just printed this candle. It's not a pretty one, right? But let's talk about these 2 prior candles first, and then we'll get to this one. These 2 prior candles were giving us a pretty big heads up of what's coming, right? These candles had pretty large wicks, right? You can tell the size of the wick by the body versus the wick, right? This wick right here, if you take like 3 of the bodies, that's how big this wick is, right? This wick was telling us, hey, people are coming in, they're taking profits, they're pushing the market down. So we had this wick, boom. Now we have an enormous wick that just printed, huge wick that just printed. In fact, this could be considered a gravestone doji candle. It's not a textbook one because you have a large wick at the bottom. Well, not a large wick, but it's sizable, right? What you want to see in a textbook gravestone is a tiny wick. You would want really the low price to be around 41.2-ish, not what did it end up being? 40.5. So it did go a little bit lower, but make no mistake, this could definitely be considered a gravestone doji candle, not a textbook one, but there's a large upper wick. It's on the 2-week chart, which I haven't shown you yet, right? The 2-week chart is incredibly powerful. It's literally twice as powerful as the weekly chart. Anytime you get up in time frames and you see these kind of candles on higher time frames, watch the hell out, right? What does this candle tell us? Well, this candle tells us that huge profit taking was happening. Huge profit taking was happening that reversed the market, right? There was so much profit taking happening that it pushed all the way down to these levels here where we ended up closing, right? We were way the hell up here. It pushed us all the way back down here. So there is definitely momentum to the downside. Can we see further upside action followed by more huge wicks? We could, and we should not get overly emotional if that were to happen, right? The facts are already in, right? It's very difficult for Bitcoin to recover from here. Could we see another rally up and then huge profit taking again and another huge wick? We absolutely could, right? What's more important is what's coming in the following months. We are inside of phase 2 for 84 days so far. We potentially have 100 more days to go. In that 100 days, what I expect to happen is a retest of our base. Plain and simple. This heavy wick here is telltale signs. These 2 wicks here were trying to warn us. And this wick shouted at us so that it was not possible for us to ignore it. So what we have in front of us are about 100 more days in this red box. And it's likely, nothing is certain in life or in general, nothing is certain, but it's likely that Bitcoin comes down to retest its structure here, which we predicted about 100 days ago. We predicted that would happen. Why did we predict that? That's happened every single time before. So why would it be different? So it looks like it could be playing out just as we predicted about 100 days ago. But nobody knows for certain, right? As I mentioned many times, you look at this kind of structure here of about 35, that would probably be a safe place to enter positions. Again, I'm not your financial advisor. This is not financial advice. But the wick, if we come down and test, look at when we tested here, look at this wick. These are hard to get your orders filled, right? If you had an order here, back here at 24, even though we told you we're probably likely to come test our base, you had your order in at 24K, it probably didn't get filled. If you had your order in at 25K, probably didn't get filled. If you had your order at 26K, probably didn't get filled. If you had your order up here at like 26, 27, yeah, it probably got filled, right? So there are ways for you to minimize your risk and enter a position with more certainty. But if you're greedy, you're going to try to wait down here, and then you'll probably get burned. Your order won't get filled, and then you'll end up buying back at 40 something, right? So again, usually people that are relatively new to trading are trying to time the absolute perfect spot to buy rather than a strategic place to buy based on risk and reward, right? It's a very different game, the game I just explained versus the game that usually happens. It's very similar to when we were down here at 15, 16K. I was screaming at the top of my lungs, it's more risky to be out of Bitcoin than in Bitcoin. It's highly likely that the bottom is in. Don't trust the herd. Don't drink the herd juice. And what I said was a lot of people are like, well, 15, 16, I want to wait for the perfect time. So they ended up not buying at all. And I told you that in many months from now, you would laugh at the difference between 15, 16, 17K. Back then, you thought it was so important. Turns out it's not. And you should have listened, right? I told you there would be no big difference at all between buying at 17 or 15 or 16 or even 18. Right? If you look at missing the market completely versus buying at 15, 16, 17, 18, one, you look like a superhero, and the other one, you look like an idiot, right? Superhero is buy basically anywhere where Steve said you look like a superhero, and if you tried to be cute with it and time the market, you missed everything. You look like an idiot, right? Now, luckily for you, I was an idiot for a long time, so that makes two of us, so don't worry. This is fixable. Right? It's all based on human psychology, emotion, controlling your emotion, having a strategy, sticking to it, looking at risk and reward, and analyzing the market based on facts. And if you can do those things, you'll be ahead of 97% of humans on Earth, right? So back to where we are. We got about 100-ish days. We expect some sort of a retest down to our base, and especially given the fact that these candles are heavy and loud and obnoxious, that these are telltale signs that it will happen. Between now and then, could we have another fake out rally? We could. Don't get overly excited. Our resistance zone is still the same as it's been for this whole time. It's not going to change. So just stay level-headed, continue to look at the facts, and everything will be in place for you. I want to discuss one thing that stood out from being a parent for me. And it's one thing that literally nobody discussed it with me. And I don't know why every parent isn't discussing this exact thing, because far and away, it was the most important takeaway from being a parent. And I'm dumbfounded why has nobody discussed it with me before. It doesn't make any sense. So when you're going to have a child, right, a lot of people say, oh, this is the best experience of your life and it's a lot of hard work, but it's worth it. You know, people like regurgitate all the herd juice stuff, just like in the charts. They'll repeat the same stuff over and over again, and then they'll repeat it to the next person, and then they feel cool. Oh my God, I'm repeating all the stuff that the other person said. Those things are true, but is nowhere close to the most important aspect of being a parent. The biggest takeaway, the biggest thing that you can learn is this, right? When I became a parent, I'm very in tuned and self-aware of what's going on. And it became abundantly clear really quickly that having a child will have you learn way more about yourself than you've ever learned before, specifically around your strengths and weaknesses. Why? Your child will be a direct mirror of you. And so far, my son is almost 5 years old. And so far, all of the mistakes or things he's doing wrong or bad habits, none of it are his fault. It's my fault. And it's eye-opening for me as a parent to say, holy crap, I didn't know this bad habit I had until I saw it in my son. And it's not his fault. He learned it from me. It's being self-aware, like, wow, I could really learn and grow more than I ever have before. And for me, I'm addicted to learning. It's an absolute addiction I have. And I try to learn a substantial amount about myself. And having a child unlocked this cheat code to learn more about myself faster and more efficiently than I ever have before. It's not even close. I don't know why no parent has told me that. Nobody. Why? Have you not realized this? It's right in front of our eyes. But most parents are like, oh, the kid's doing this wrong. It's their fault. And you're doing this and this is bad. Don't do this. It's actually the parent's fault for everything the child does. But when you realize it, you can find your strengths. Like, wow, my son does this, boom, 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 boom. Okay, that is my strength. Let's double down on that. My child is doing this or has this bad habit or doing this wrong. Okay, that's because of me. That's because I do this and this and this. And that's why, okay, now I connect the dots. Now it's a huge cheat code as a human. You want to get better as a human? Have kid, period. So many things that I didn't realize about myself, I saw it in my son. And at first I was like, ooh, this is a bad thing. This is a bad habit. But then I looked deeper, like, okay, where is it coming from? And then digging. Ooh, it's from me. I have to change that. And he can't change it by himself until I change it in myself. It's so powerful. So to the parents out there, let me know if this sounds like something like, oh yeah, that is true. And if it hasn't really connected, look at it. If you have kids, right? And again, look at your parents too. Whatever bad habits that you have as a human have been passed on for generations. They're a program. You learn the program from your parents, and they learn from their parents, and they learn from their parents. What I've also realized is hereditary in my family. We have some bad habits that now I have traced a couple generations up. These are bad habits that have passed generation by generation. Nobody's noticed it. We just go about our daily lives, rushing through life, until having a kid, I realized, traced it all back, and now I can completely change all of the bad habits that have been passed from generations. It stops now. It stops with me. I have realized it. I have woken up. And I want you to wake up, right? The only reason I make videos is to pass on what I've learned, what I've used in my life to really better my life, whether it's financially or in my personal life or my health, wealth, happiness, success, all of it. I'm passing my information to you so you can take it, put it in your life and make it a lot better, right? That's why I'm here. I'm trying to change 1 million lives. That's why I make these videos. That's why I make them in the way that I make them, to try to wake you up, to try to show you that you can have tremendously more success in life than you thought. But first you've got to believe it. Then you've got to know what to look for. You have to put together a strategy. It's why we built the FFA, the Financial Freedom Academy. It's my roadmap for you to achieve financial freedom step by step. Nobody's doing that. Everyone gets into crypto because they want financial freedom, but nobody, literally nobody, is teaching you how to get financially free. Nobody. We're the first people to combine crypto with financial freedom, right? This is all what it's based on, right? If you like these talks that I have at the ends of these videos, the FFA is that on steroids, but really devoted to how to achieve financial freedom step by step. These are the habits. These are the new programs. This is what you do step by step. That's why I do it. So hopefully you take this, use it to your advantage. I'll be reading everybody's comment about this. I'm very curious about this topic. I'll see you right back here in the next video. Peace and love to the fellow underdogs. This bull run is our road to 500,000 subscribers, but I need your help. Today, tell one person about our YouTube channel, how we spit facts, go against the herd, take no paid sponsorships of any kind. Road to 500,000, let's go.